Rugby union, which positions get paid the most money? That is the topic for today's video. We did a similar video last year when the Esportif intelligence data came out for last year. It's again out for 2020-2021. Now, this only covers the three big European leagues, the Pro 14, the Top 14, and the Premiership. And the Pro 14 is excluding the two South African teams and excluding the two Italian teams. But overall, it's a pretty good look at the data to see which positions generally get paid the most, which ones get paid the least. There's some disparity between the leagues, but we'll go over the three leagues, see who's at the top, who's at the bottom, and we'll kind of sum it up at the end to see which positions get paid the most. Unfortunately, it doesn't do Super Rugby or Top League or MLR or anything like that, but at least, as I said, there's general trends across all three of the leagues. Let's take a look at the Premiership. I'll chuck the graphics up here. Essentially, you've got a new one at number 1, which is maybe to be expected. Fly half is the highest paid. Lock is down to 2. Outside centre is a bit of a winner, up 4 spots. Tight head's the same. Open side flank is down to the bottom spot. Hooker is up from last to second to last. Interestingly, there's a big difference between 13 and 12 with inside centre being down 3 spots to 11th, whereas outside centre is quite a lot higher, even though a lot of guys can kind of switch between the two. Scrum half is also a big loser, down 4 spots into 10th. The wingers are kind of in the middle, and then there's the rest of your loosies. Big difference also between loose head prop and tight head prop. But, I mean, from what a lot of people say, tight head prop is a bit of a tougher job. But anyway, having a good loose head or tight head is generally pretty crucial, so you'd think they'd both be pretty high. But either way, that's the list for the Premiership. If we look at the Pro 14, it's pretty similar business. Locks are still ranked really high. They retain top spot, do the locks. In the Pro 14, they were top last year and the top this year as well. Tight heads are up into second. Fly halves stuck in third, so that's your top 3. Interestingly, wingers are up 1, whereas they're a fair bit lower rated in the Premiership. Scrum halves are also higher than in the Premiership. The two midfielders are pretty much, much of a muchness. One's down 1 into 7th, that's outside centre, and one's up 1 into 8th, that's inside centre. So they're, midfielders in the mid-table. They're next to each other. There seems to be a logic to that. Loose heads are down 1, then blindside, open side, fullback, and hooker remains dead last, as it was last year. So interesting one for the Pro 14. Then we switch over to France. In the top 14, they also rank fly halves as number 1. That's up 1 spot. Locks are also up 1 into second. You got number 8. Tight heads also, in all of them, it's been kind of top 4, right? So it retains 4th spot. Outside centre is still ranked above inside. Wingers are kind of lower mid-table. They're down a few spots. I think they're actually down 7. Wingers were like top of the top 14 last year, and now they're not even the top half. So it's a massive drop. Open side flankers are ranked a bit higher here than they are in the other two competitions. They're ranked 9th. But I can't help but wonder if they're doing it by jersey number, because, sometimes in France they either do left, right, or they play the numbers the other way around. Also, fullback still 11th. Loose head is still 12th. And then hooker is once again dead last. So it's an interesting one. It means overall you've kind of got a winner for the top spot, and that's your locks. It's kind of first equal along with fly half. I mean, that's kind of to be expected, I guess, because your fly half is your guy who controls the game. Is supposed to have a mad set of and varied skill set, mad set of skills, which is a varied skill set, can kick, pass, kick goals. Not necessarily in France, where often the number 9 kicks the goals, but you know what I mean. They're supposed to run the show, so it should be a pretty important position, like it to a quarterback in American football, if there's such a comparison. And locks, I guess for the fact that you have to be pretty tall to play lock, means it's already like a smaller market, right? You can't just get anybody to play lock. So supply and demand, right? If there's not enough guys around about that 2 meter mark, then you got to pay more to get them. So it's good to be tall, apparently. That means there's no second because we've got 2 first equals. Third would be tight head prop. Again, crucial position. Not an easy one to get right, and it's pretty obvious when your team gets it wrong. So I guess it's like lock, but less, I mean, maybe partially about the physical stature of the guy, but also just about that pure scrummaging ability. It's not something you can replace easily. Fourth is, interestingly, number 8. Which, again, I suppose goes to the skill factor. Like, number 8s come in a variety of shapes and sizes. I mean, you just look at, like, in the Premiership. I mean, no, Billy Vunipola with Saracens now, so technically not in the Premiership. But him and, like, Nathan Hughes are a very different build to, like, Sam Simmons. CJ Stunder. You know, there's very different sizes of guys who can play number 8. But you need to have maybe a different set of skills, especially ball handling, which not everybody can just kind of walk into. Fifth is your outside center. So it's your second highest ranked back position. It's above scrum half. It's above your wings. I think defensively it's not an easy one to get right. So maybe you're willing to pay a bit more for a guy who can defend in that 13 channel, because again, if you get that wrong, it can be pretty costly. Interestingly, sixth is your wingers. And in terms of involvements per game, wingers maybe don't have that much work to do compared to a lot of other guys. But I guess it's like you need these guys to be your finishers. Like when everything else gets set up, if these guys can't finish it, then all that maybe previous work has gone to waste. So that little bit of magic is maybe worth paying a little bit more money for. Blindside comes in at 7th. Obviously, there's guys who can interchange between open side, blindside, and number 8 as well. But maybe a big physical blindside is something you're willing to pay a bit more for. 8th is 2 positions actually. It is your scrum half. Comes in at 8th alongside your inside center. So they're kind of 8th equal. They're averaged out to be the same score. I'm a little bit surprised 9 is not a little bit higher, but maybe it's easy to find guys who can box kick and got a pretty sweet pass on them and make some sniping runs. I would have thought it's a more essential position in terms of how many involvements they have per game, but maybe it's, again, supply and demand. Maybe there's a lot more of those guys around the park, and yeah, I think we saw generally inside centers just ranked a wee bit lower than outside. That means there's no 9th because we got 8th equal. 10th is your fullbacks. Interesting that it's below wingers, even though some guys can kind of interchange in those positions as well. Defensively, it's a more important position than wing, arguably, especially with all the kicking that goes on. But I mean, wingers are expected to get back and handle kicks as well. Loose head is 11th, which is a bit tragic given how important the scrum is. But anyway, open side, especially when you consider how many good... I didn't even include hooker on here. What a moron. Hooker's 13th. It's that low that I even forgot about it. Yeah, when you think of guys like Warburton and McCaw, Pocock, Cooper, there's a hell of a lot of guys around the world who excel in that position, even though those guys are retired now. But yeah, those guys are kind of legends of the game. McCaw was on big money when he played. Pocock was on big money. Hooper's like the highest paid Australian guy. But I guess this is only the Premiership Pro 14, Top 14, so it doesn't include guys like that. But and yeah, Hooker is just across the board the lowest paid of all. I guess if you think about Hooker, it's like there's not one particular build. Maybe in terms of the physicality, like apart from throwing a line-out ball in, which is a trainable skill, like there's a lot of guys who fit that mold. So yeah, it's a tough one. I was thinking about some of the transfers is down, like around as well, because like you noticed in the Premiership, wingers are up in pay, up 3 spots, whereas in the Top 14, they're down like 7 spots. But like Semi Randrandra and Namani Ndolo, they moved from the Top 14 to the Premiership. So maybe those guys kind of big contracts. I know Johnny May got a new contract with Gloucester when he moved, so maybe he got a bit of a pay rise. Maybe that's a part of it. Scrum half was down in France. I know like Laidlaw left, so he was probably on pretty decent money. Also Savia left Toulon to come back to New Zealand. So there was a few kind of high profile guys that were likely on big money that made moves. Number 8 was one of the big losers in the Pro 14. I know like Arno Bota, I know he's kind of a utility loose forward. I think in Marcel Coetzee as well, because he's leaving Ulster, but he's not leaving until the end of the season, so he wouldn't count. Rob Kearney left Leinster, and fullback is down. Maybe that's a thing. And it's like number 9 was down in the Premiership by 4 spots. Nick White left, Corvus Reinach left, so there was a few guys. And the Saracens' pay must have an impact on things like, it can't be a coincidence that Locke has gone down 1 spot and Maro Itoje is no longer in the Premiership. 12 has gone down, but 13 has gone up. Don't know. Maybe I think Tuilangi took less pay when he moved, didn't he? Not sure. But yeah, I'll link to the original information. I mean, I've put it on the screen anyway, so that's pretty much is what it is. But yeah, it's a similar one to last year in that first fives and locks, second rowers tend to be in demand. Tight heads outrank their comrades in the loose head. Everyone beats open sides amongst all the loose forwards. That's just a thing. Outside centers get paid more than inside centers. So if you're a young up-and-coming player thinking about going 12 or 13, thinking about going loose or tight, well, obviously go whichever position you're best at, but in terms of your economics, that is what it is. And don't play hooker, because you're going to get paid the least of all. But yeah, you guys let me know what you thought of this. How fair do you think this is? There must be some guys who are likely exceptions to the rule. But yeah, what do you guys reckon? Fair? Unfair? Any particular reasons each league you think has higher rankings in some positions than others? But yeah, you guys take care. Thank you to Simon the other day, or yesterday, for signing up on the Patreon page. I'll put that link in the description as well if you guys are keen to support the channel. Even for $1 a month, it would be much appreciated. So you guys all take care. Talk to you again soon. See you later.